The first time the basement spoke, it said my name like someone who had been waiting. I stopped at the top of the stairs. The lamp in the hallway swung. The voice was breath and memory, small and steady. I should have left. Old houses make noises. I counted the steps and went down. The basement smelled of lemon and old wood. A single bulb hung over a workbench. A cupboard door stood open. On the bench lay a small wooden box tied with a faded ribbon. My name was carved on its lid in letters I had written as a child. Inside the box was a photograph of my aunt in a garden I had never seen. She smiled, but a dark shape crouched behind her. On the back someone had written, "Never leave it alone." A music box clinked beneath the photo. When I wounded, the tune slipped out thin and sharp and made the air colder. A scrap of ribbon curled between my fingers and wrapped itself around my wrist as if it had a mind. The voice called again and sounded like the pipes and like my father and like a child. It was asking to be noticed. A narrow door behind stacked boxes opened when I brushed cobwebs. The room beyond was painted dull green. A crayon drawing pinned to the wall showed a house with a black square beneath. Inside that square, small hands were sketched with frantic strokes. The picture looked like a warning and a plea. A memory rose then, unbidden. My aunt in the kitchen with flour on her hands. She had said, "Do not go down," and when I asked why, she had looked away. I had shoved that moment into a corner of my mind. The basement reached in and pulled it out. Under the bench, I found a tin with a key and a Polaroid. The photo showed me at the top of the stairs, taken from below. Someone had written on the back, "We keep what comes." The key felt cold and heavy. The basement wanted witnesses. It wanted someone to remember for it. The voice stitched through my thoughts. Sometimes it was kind, sometimes hungry. It kept tugging at other memories until my life felt crowded with things I had hidden. I left with the photograph in my pocket and a frayed scrap of ribbon in my hand. At the top, the light seemed brighter, as if relieved. The voice said thank you. The word was soft and final. I locked the door and walked into the night. In my apartment, the music box tune found me. It threaded through sleep and made my breathing shallow. I dreamed of the green room and the picture with the black square. The hands in the drawing tapped at the inside of my skull. A week later, the photograph had vanished. I tore the apartment apart. All I found under a cushion was the small scrap of ribbon. I kept it in a drawer and touched it until the frayed edge wore smooth. Each time I did, the melody played in my head. The city paper ran a short item. House sold, new owners, plans to renovate. I drove past that evening. Movers carried boxes, and a man glanced at the basement window once, then away. The sight of the open dark made my chest pound. I could have knocked on the new owner's door. I might have told them about the drawing and the tune and the rule. I stayed in the car. Some warnings are private. Some things, once spoken, cannot be taken back. When the wind is right, I still hear a thin whisper at the edge of sleep. Remember, it says. The phrase is gentle and selfish at once. It asks for witnesses the way dry ground asks for rain. Time moved. Small bright things arrived. Coffee with a friend, a bus ride, a stray cat on an empty street. But the basement stayed like a stone in my shoe. It kept nudging. Months later, I found a child's drawing on the street. It was clumsy and bright, a house with a dark square beneath it, hands inside that square. My hands shook. I folded the paper and took it home. The black square seemed to spread on the page. That night, the whisper curled at my window and spoke a name I did not know. It said, "We keep what comes." There was no anger. There was only a rule spoken softly, like a teacher to a child. I never went back to the house. I had done whatever listening I could. But some rooms collect what people cast off, memories, laughter, small cruelties. They do not lock them away neatly. They pile them in the dark until they press against the boards and whisper. Sometimes I hold the scrap of ribbon and feel the lemon smell of the basement. I think of my aunt and the way she smiled with something behind her eyes. I think of the photograph, the Polaroid, the crayon hands. I think of the rule, we keep what comes. If you hear a voice under the floor, do not assume it is simply the house. Some places remember too well. They hold grief and joy and careless things. They ask, in a soft voice that could be kindness or appetite, for someone to listen. The last time I walked past the house, a child stood at the top of the stairs and peered into the basement. He did not seem afraid. When he looked up at me, he smiled in a way that was too old for his face. He mouthed the words like prayer, remember.
I walked on.
The scrap of ribbon in my drawer is still there. Sometimes, late, I take it out and tie it around my wrist. It ties itself the same way each time. The basement is patient. It does not forget. Neither can I.